All right. So to kick things off, I would love if you all could introduce yourselves, give your name, the industry you work in, your employer, and your job title. And we'll go ahead and start with Melanie since she's the closest to me on Zoom.
Hi, well, thank you so much for having me today. My name's Melanie Good. I am in the in-home non-medical care industry. I work for Senior Helpers out of the Bloomington market, and I'm the marketing director here.
Great. And then we'll go with Stacy. You're not unmuted, Stacy.
I cannot believe I did that. Hi.
All good.
I'm Stacy Gaffney with Comfort Keepers and Elders Journey. We do non-medical home health, and Elders Journey does Medicaid home health skilled care. And director of marketing. Is that everything? Yes.
Great, thank you. And then Genna.
Hi, I'm Genna Lynn. I am branch manager for Caregiver Homes here in Bloomington. We cover multiple counties. I lost track of how many. Doing a program called Structured Family Caregiving, which is a program where family members can get coaching and support on how to be a good caregiver to their loved one, and then also receive some financial assistance to do that.
Awesome. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. So the first question we'll get into, I just would love to hear about your overall career that led you to this current position. So did you go to college? Did you not? What got you here to this point? And any of you guys can start. I'll just let this kind of flow.
I can start. I started as a CNA actually at a facility here in town, and loved the work. It's a little difficult, as you can imagine. And I wanted to go to school for social work or computers and couldn't really decide, so I did neither. And I did go to college. I did not finish, but I just kind of slowly worked my way up in healthcare field. And I was asked if I wanted to do a marketing position to try it out, and absolutely loved it and have just went from there. So it's a niche that I absolutely love. I love everything about it. I love helping people. And so yeah, I started as a CNA, worked there almost 16 years. My last job there was public relations.
I'll go next. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from Purdue University. And I started out a long time ago working with people with disabilities, intellectual disabilities. And I worked in a sheltered workshop for, which was a place to teach work skills to people with developmental disabilities. Worked there for a couple of years, running a program to help those individuals get better work skills. And then I left there and I went to get a taste of what it was like to work with kids in foster care. And I was a social worker for foster families for about a year and a half. And then I decided that I really missed working with people with developmental disabilities. So I went back to that and worked in a facility for folks, which is now closed because all of those folks are now living out in the community, which is where they want to be. So I worked for the state of Indiana and the Family and Social Services Administration for about 20 years. And then I left there and switched out of that and started working with the elderly about 7 years ago. So now I work in Medicaid waivers for the aging.
And my undergraduate is in science. And then later on, I did go back to pursue my master's in marketing because when I shifted gears after graduating college, I scrubbed in surgery, did pain management for 8 years, worked with cancer patients, and then really wanted to get into the piece of educating the community. So that's when I decided to go back and pursue my master's for marketing and education. But my experience was on a much more personal level, as at that time, my mother was helping my grandfather who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So then it became a pursuit of getting more education to families and how they can provide better assistance and better care. Because at that time, non-medical in-home care was really not a thing. And so it was much later, after I did corporate America, became a chief marketing officer for a large portfolio, that I wanted to more settle down when my mother became ill. So then it's when I got into elder care and marketing and educating those who are looking to work with, one of our most vulnerable and our seniors.
Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing all of your different career paths. I think that's although a simple question, it's one of the more interesting ones of the group, because naturally everyone has really done so many different things to lead them here. And I think that's awesome. I love the dog.
On every Zoom call I've had.
Don't worry at all. I'm sure people love to see him or her. So our next question that we're going to get into is, I would love to hear what you think are some common misconceptions about your field, and how you or your organization or the industry as a whole are working to fight those misconceptions.
I will think that Stacey would probably give a nod or concur with this, that I think that COVID has proven that non-medical in-home care is essential and caregiving is essential. And whether it's by family, whether it's through an agency, that, we really see a huge difference in the way that the community is reacting to our services, and then the outreach for help families. And unfortunately, it took something as significant and scary as the COVID pandemic for in-home medical care to really be put, really on the podium for people to speak of, that no matter whether they're getting in-home care services from a skilled agency, whether they're getting physical therapy, 9 chances out of 10, regardless of what's going on, if they have some sort of health concern, there is a need for non-medical in-home care.
I absolutely agree with that. And really the only thing I want to add is, people don't understand what we do. They don't understand the difference in skilled, non-skilled. They do not know that we can come in and help them with cooking, cleaning, that there is a different component with the PT and the OT. And that piece is really a struggle, I feel like. I think for all healthcare, people don't understand what rehabs are, or what hospice can do. And they don't really want to talk about it until they're in a triage situation, which is unfortunate, but
yeah.
So I would just add that I think that our biggest message is that people can be safe at home. They don't have to go to a facility. They can stay home and get the care that they need through all sorts of community type services that are available, and that caregivers, people that are providing care, can be supported to be able to do that at home. So just because you're getting older and you're having more medical issues, it doesn't mean you have to go live in a facility now. There are lots of ways to keep people at home these days.
Yeah, that's really an interesting thing. I think you guys all bring up really great points when it comes to care for the elderly or people who are sick. So thanks for sharing that. I think on the flip side, kind of, not necessarily what people already know about your position, but what are the things that you really enjoy about your job that people may know, they may not know? What gets you up every morning to do what you do?
I love helping people. I got out of our industry for about 9 months and I just had to come back. I love knowing that we make a difference in people's lives, a good difference. And that is really rewarding. Like Genna mentioned, you can keep people at home now for much, much longer. And that in itself is just so rewarding. I love that piece.
You know,
I
and
would have
and, and
said the
second
same
that,
thing.
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I would have said the same thing. I smiled because that's the first thing that came to my mind is just you get such a high from helping someone or knowing that you've helped someone. Seeing the smile on their face when you know, are able to do something to help them just a little bit at home, developing those relationships with people that, you know, typically have a history of not having a whole lot in their life, and getting to the point where, you know, they're maybe a little more depressed about their future and what's happening, and just being able to make them smile, that's extremely rewarding.
Absolutely. I agree with both of you. And to add that, just to be that resource in the community, to be that resource of information to the person in need, their families, to allow them to learn and realize that they do have options. Um, you know, they may be very hesitant now more than ever about going into a long-term care facility. And so if to get that information to them, to share with them the types of services that we all offer and how we can customize care plans that will allow them to keep their loved one at home, to eliminate those concerns or fears of not getting to see them. But, you know, again, to wake up every morning to know, because to me, it doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel like, you know, that Monday through Friday or even 24/7 for us grind, because I wake up with a true purpose and meaning that, you know, no matter what happens, you know, if we can make a difference in some elder person's life today, by even having a conversation with them over the phone, that, as I mentioned earlier, you know, they are one of our most vulnerable, and to be able to know that we can help just the simplest ways, it really holds a lot of value and meaning in my life personally, not just professionally.
Those are really great points. I mean, first of all, obviously, I love the helping people part. I think that it's a field that definitely has that as a strong suit, and for students who may be interested in have that value, that might be what is best for them. You know, you don't have to go into other fields to get that. You can find it right here, and I think that's really awesome. And I also love hearing about how you guys really try to make the families feel comfortable and making sure that people can stay home longer, things like that. As my, you know, grandparents age and that kind of thing, it's just makes me feel comfortable even as a person, knowing that there's this other option, and there's always this other option of keeping them at home and having their care there. And so thank you for delving into what just makes you happy and gets you up in the morning. I think that's just as important to discuss as the challenges of the field. So one of my other questions, excuse me, sorry. What advice would you have for others who want to do this field? Is there, since you all have like very different paths, like what would you say is the best thing to do if this is something that interests you?
I
I would say
believe that,
start out in, sorry, Melanie. I
no,
would
you're
say
fine.
start out as a caregiver or CNA and find out what it really takes to make the foundation of the industry work. I mean, it's the backbone. Our caregivers make or break us. And it's a good way too. Like when I first started working in a facility, my very first thing, I wanted to be a nurse, and then changed my mind very, very quickly on that. And there's different avenues you can take too. You don't have to, do a CNA or a caregiver. You can work at a hospital. There's a lot of different settings. So explore those and figure out what fits with you.
There's so many opportunities, especially in elder care. Like you were just saying, Stacy, whether you're in a facility, whether you're in a hospital, whatever path, we are just on the forefront of the baby boomers. So we're going to see a demographic that's going to explode with a huge need of care. We're seeing that now. That's COVID related. But we're going to see, a huge incline. So anyone interested, there's so many different paths. And a great thing for me is that there's really no end of the road. If you get into elder care, no matter whether you go into in-home non-medical, whether you decide to switch gears, whether you're clinical or not, there's so many opportunities with home health, hospice, to become an educator in some form or fashion. There's so many windows of opportunity that will continue to open, and that you may take many, many years to find, your niche within the industry, because there are so many opportunities there.
Yeah, and I would just bounce off what Stacy said and just explore. I think young people have to get out there and, look at the fields that they're interested in and go do some job shadowing and look and see if that's something that makes you smile, or something that ticks some of your needs that you want to have in a career. But I think really just experiencing that and knowing beforehand is half the battle. And there are tons. And just like Melanie said, the future generations are going to start seeing a lot of elderly folks out in the communities that need assistance. So there's going to be a ton of jobs related to working with elderly folks.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that advice. I think that explore is really the focus of any panel I do. Like explore within a field and find what you like and go from there. And so I think that's always great when that's mentioned in a panel. And to kind of wrap up, one of my favorite questions is, right now, as you guys have mentioned, we're in a pandemic. We're seeing people, especially elderly people, be impacted the most right now. So what is the industry looking like right now with this situation? And where do you see it going from here? Do you think there will be any new changes with the pandemic, that kind of thing? Where do you see it going in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think that, this is really a question that there's answers that's going to be all over the place for me. I know I'll try to hone in on just a few. That I think that we're going to see changes that's going to involve legislation because of Medicare guidelines, even as far as non-medical in-home care. Because it is deemed essential. We are seeing some of the Medicare Advantage plans now open up those benefits to allow for non-medical in-home care. I think that it's going to be, regardless which specific field you're in, you're going to see growth and growth and growth. You're going to see volume. And I think that we're all going to see a continuation of recruiting challenges, because we are all pulling from that same need of pull, whether it's nurses, CNAs, HHAs, that because there's such an uptick in needs and families and discharges from facilities for post-surgical needs. they're just all over the place. So as those continue to grow, the needs continue to grow. So I think that we're really going to see a lot of change as far as the essential side of it, in that people are going to learn very quickly in the communities that what we do is a real thing. We provide real services, and that we're going to move our industry up to one of the leading industries in the country. So I really see a lot of change that's going to impact the way commercial insurances are even going to look at non-medical in-home care, just to reduce the costs for early hospital readmissions that are unnecessary. So we can definitely, I feel like we could have a conversation specifically based on that topic, but challenges as far as, just a large volume in a short amount of time would be the other piece of that too.
Yeah, and I would agree with Melanie. I think that we're going to continue to see some positive changes made for folks needing care at home. We've already seen some as well. We've experienced some from Medicaid changes. So some of the rules and regulations about how Medicaid is used has already changed to benefit people living at home or being provided care by their loved ones at home. I believe that's going to continue to expand. We're going to continue to see family caregivers, families that are trying to work, teach their kids at home or wherever, and continue to provide care at home to their aging parents and or loved ones. So I think that the pandemic has shown that people are safer at home typically, that sometimes they get better care at home. And that's not to say it's bad anywhere. It's just when you're home with people that love you and you're in your familiar surroundings, it just makes a huge difference in people's health, their happiness, and their well-being. And that's something that's going to continue. And I think that we are going to see many more legislation changes that are going to be more supportive of in-home services versus out-of-the-home services.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and really the only other thing I could add is the infection control side. Being non-medical, we don't have a lot of the regulations, the Medicare, Medicaid. We do accept waivers, but we don't have like a skilled home care agency would have. And so we're owned by a nurse, so we have those in place, but it's not required. And I feel like a lot of that will change too. And, we have to do daily screening still. And so I feel like that's a good thing, along with the legislation, that piece, that component of it. So I think that's a good thing. We'll see.
Well, thank you, ladies, for giving your predictions and kind of giving us an overview of the field right now. I really appreciated hearing you all talk about this, since I know very little about the elderly care field, so I'm sure I'm not the only one. So I think it's really helpful to have three of you guys kind of speak to your experiences, where you are now, and what's to come, to hopefully get people looking at this field as an option. So that was, like I said, my last question. And if you guys don't have anything else you want to speak on, then again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. And I will make sure that you guys get this panel when I have it uploaded and edited and all that. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me,
ladies.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good to see you. Bye.